You might know the deacons would abandon me on one of the weekends. We have one of the longest Gospels of the year. According to Pope Francis, homilies should awaken souls, not put them to sleep. He advises preachers to notice people looking at their watches. I wonder what he would think of a pastor I was with at the beginning of my priesthood who had cut a hole right here in the amble and had a clock in it. Jesuit Father James McDermott offers colorful pointers to avoid. The look to the wrist. Among these are lay your egg and get off the nest. Be brief, be bold, be gone. The homily is not a hostage situation. And start a class if you want to teach. My friends, American Catholics have been known to forgive a multitude of sins if their priests offer good homilies. Jesus' stories draw out a whole range of emotion: disbelief, anger, fascination, surprise, upset, joy, hope, you name it. Nobody dozed off when Jesus was speaking. Not everyone liked what they heard. Some may have said, somebody's going to kill this guy. Hans Kung wrote many years ago, the God Jesus reveals is one who identifies with us, our needs, our hopes, who doesn't demand but lifts, who doesn't wound but heals, who forgives, not condemns, who liberates rather than punishes. Father Kung's words ring true to this day. St. Luke's prodigal son, or doting father, or angry brother parable has impacted millions of people for centuries. It has inspired tremendous literature, art, and thinking. Shakespeare used it in The Merchant of Venice and Henry IV. Many oratorios, ballets, and famous paintings draw from this startling story. I've heard people refer to one of their children as the prodigal child. Or we may have heard killing the fatted calf, or wild living. It is here in this parable we meet a God who is, as Donald Soto put it, not a lord of laws, not a mighty king who frightens and takes hostages, a harsh schoolmaster, or a strict accountant. The impact of this parable continues to this very day. Some say they never hear this parable the same way twice. Different circumstances call out varied responses, a sign that Jesus' words are indeed inspired. We may meet here an impertinent son, or a naively foolish old man, and a cold, indifferent older brother. At other times, we view them in entirely different ways. Because of the story's genius, we identify with its characters depending on what is happening in our own lives or in our current relationship with God. Listeners will sometime ask, why doesn't Junior get a swift kick in the rear end? Why isn't Pop examined for senility? Does that sulking older brother ever loosen up? Entirely different perceptions and questions may surface for other people. All parables teach that we cannot rely simply on our own resilience, our own determination or wits or genetics. We can rely only on God, who acts totally out of unconditional love. Make no mistake, Jesus was not some dreamy, pie-in-the-sky philosopher. He stood in the trenches, in the nitty and gritty where the people lived. He incorporated masterfully the common. In modern terms, Jesus got into the pew where the people were. This is the goal of any homily, modeled by the divine teacher himself. Sometimes the preacher hits a foul ball or strikes out. But sometimes he may actually get a hit, even a double. All gospel parables point to an authentic spiritual life dependent on God's unrestricted, other-centered love. Ultimately, we Christians must rely on God alone. This is what disciples do. For us, this God-centered love is a matter of choice and of will, not of emotions or passing feelings. Such love requires constant effort. Conscious effort. Conscious effort is at the heart of the spiritual genius of St. Teresa of Lisieux, and why her little way caught fire, wildfire. Many a time she wanted to bop the head of a mean-spirited or whiny fellow Carmelite, but she never did. An earthy spiritual director once put it this way: when someone steps on your last nerve and you want to let them have it, but you don't, that's grace. Jesus of Nazareth's revolution of love flowed out of his master storytelling. His parables continue to produce an abundant variety of responses to this very day. My friends, may our responses be ones for which we are pleased to share. Amen.